My beloved child, pause for a moment before you let this day carry you any further. There is something quietly beautiful unfolding around your life, and although you cannot see the whole picture yet, your heart has already begun to sense it. Before you continue with everything competing for your attention, listen carefully. This is not a prediction or a promise of what must happen. It is a fictional story created to remind you that hope often arrives in ways no one expects. Sometimes the greatest changes begin so softly that they almost disappear beneath ordinary moments. Yet those gentle beginnings can eventually become the memories that shape an entire lifetime. Stay until the end, because something beautiful is slowly being revealed. Without realizing it, you have spent countless days believing that nothing remarkable was happening. Morning followed morning, and evening quietly replaced another sunset. You continued offering kindness to strangers who never knew your name. You smiled at people carrying burdens they never spoke about. You encouraged others even while carrying questions inside your own heart. No one applauded those small moments. No headline celebrated your patience. Yet every quiet act became part of a story far larger than you understood. Little by little, those ordinary choices revealed the strength of your character. While many people noticed only success or appearance, your billionaire soulmate would one day notice something much deeper. They would recognize the quiet compassion you carried wherever you went. Subscribe and comment Amen to get God blessing 888. Far away from where you are, another life seemed completely different. Luxury surrounded every corner. Tall buildings reflected golden sunlight across enormous windows. Expensive meetings filled endless calendars. Elegant cars waited outside polished entrances. Every achievement looked impressive from the outside. Yet behind all the success, there remained an unexpected emptiness that wealth alone could never satisfy. Your billionaire soulmate had everything many people dreamed about, yet something peaceful always felt missing. They often wondered why every celebration seemed incomplete. They quietly asked themselves whether true happiness could ever be purchased. Deep inside, they hoped that somewhere in this vast world, someone existed whose heart valued kindness more than possessions and whose presence could transform ordinary moments into lasting peace. At that very moment, another conversation quietly unfolded in a distant room. Several people discussed business plans, investments, and impressive accomplishments. Someone suddenly paused before saying, "It's strange. The people I admire most are never the loudest." Another voice softly answered, "Real character doesn't need attention to be remembered." Those simple words lingered long after the meeting ended. Your billionaire soulmate carried them throughout the day without fully understanding why. They found themselves thinking less about financial success and more about genuine humanity. Somewhere within their heart, a quiet desire began growing for someone who would value honesty above status and compassion above applause. They did not know your name, but the kind of person they longed to meet already reflected the person you had quietly become. As the day continued, your own routine remained beautifully ordinary. You helped someone without expecting gratitude. You listened patiently while another person shared worries that no one else seemed willing to hear. You walked away without telling anyone what you had done because kindness had never been something you performed for recognition. Quiet faith had taught you that goodness often grows best where applause cannot reach. Those unnoticed moments became gentle reminders that purpose is rarely measured by popularity. Instead, purpose quietly reveals itself through consistency, humility, and love. Type Amen if you choose faith over fear. Don't skip this part, because one of the most meaningful truths in this story is only beginning to appear. Almost unnoticed, another realization slowly appeared inside your billionaire soulmate's heart. They observed countless impressive individuals throughout the week, yet every conversation somehow felt incomplete. Ambition filled many rooms, but genuine warmth remained surprisingly rare. During one quiet evening, they looked across a city glowing beneath thousands of lights and whispered, "There has to be more than this." No one answered. The silence itself became meaningful. It gently reminded them that life's greatest treasures are often invisible. Wealth could purchase extraordinary experiences, but it could never guarantee peace, trust, or unconditional kindness. Those priceless gifts could only grow within hearts willing to love sincerely. A memory unexpectedly returned to them. Years earlier, someone wise had once said, "The richest life belongs to the person who makes others feel valued." At the time, those words sounded simple. Now they carried extraordinary meaning. Your billionaire soulmate realized they had spent years searching for extraordinary people while quietly overlooking ordinary goodness. That realization changed something deep within them. Instead of asking who appeared successful, they began wondering who remained kind when nobody was watching. Instead of admiring loud confidence, they found themselves respecting quiet resilience. Unknown to them, every answer their heart searched for reflected qualities that had already become part of your own life. Meanwhile, you continued moving through another ordinary afternoon without realizing that your story and theirs were slowly drifting toward the same horizon. Nothing dramatic announced the beginning. No grand signs appeared across the sky. Instead, life continued with its familiar rhythm. Yet beneath those ordinary moments, countless unseen circumstances quietly aligned through patience, grace, and God's perfect timing. This fictional journey reminds you that hope often grows before visible change arrives. Sometimes the heart begins preparing long before two paths finally meet. Stay with this story, because the next moment gently begins revealing why every quiet season carried more purpose than you ever imagined. Quietly, another morning arrived with the same familiar rhythm you had come to know so well. Nothing around you seemed extraordinary. The streets looked the same, your routine felt unchanged, and the people passing by continued with their own busy lives. Yet something inside you felt slightly different, even if you could not explain why. It was not excitement, nor certainty. It was a gentle sense of peace, almost like the first light appearing before sunrise. You chose gratitude instead of frustration. You chose patience instead of rushing ahead. Without realizing it, your heart was becoming ready for a chapter that would value who you truly were rather than what you owned. Type Amen to get blessings 222. Stay until the end, because every quiet choice is leading somewhere meaningful. Far away from where you are, your billionaire soulmate experienced a day unlike any other. Important meetings filled every hour, yet their attention wandered in unexpected ways. Numbers appeared on large presentation screens, successful plans received applause, and congratulatory handshakes followed one another without pause. Still, none of those moments stayed in their heart. Instead, they found themselves watching a young employee quietly helping another coworker who had made an embarrassing mistake. There was no audience. No reward. Just simple kindness. Your billionaire soulmate smiled softly before whispering, "That matters more than people realize." Those words surprised even them. Little by little, their understanding of success was changing into something far more beautiful. At that very moment, you were encouraging someone who had nearly given up on believing in themselves. You did not have perfect answers, but your presence reminded them they were not alone. Sometimes the greatest gift is simply listening with compassion. You never imagined that your gentle spirit carried such quiet influence. You never counted the lives made brighter because of your encouragement. Yet every sincere conversation left behind a small light that continued shining long after you walked away. Your billionaire soulmate had not met you yet, but the kind of heart they hoped to discover was already quietly living through your everyday actions. Something beautiful is about to be revealed, and this realization is only the beginning. As the afternoon unfolded, another unexpected moment appeared. During a private conversation, an old friend asked your billionaire soulmate a simple question. "What are you really searching for?" The room became silent. Expensive artwork decorated the walls, yet none of it offered an answer. After a thoughtful pause, they quietly replied, "Someone whose heart feels like home." The words lingered in the air. Their friend smiled gently before saying, "Then stop searching for perfection. Look for peace." Those few sentences remained in their thoughts long after the conversation ended. They realized that admiration fades quickly, but genuine character continues growing stronger with time. Without knowing it, every lesson was drawing them closer to recognizing someone exactly like you. If you're still watching, subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter of this journey. Meanwhile, another ordinary evening settled gently around your life. The sky turned soft shades of gold before slowly fading into deep blue. You watched the changing colors with quiet appreciation, remembering how often hope arrives without making loud announcements. There had been seasons when you questioned whether your kindness mattered. There had been moments when your patience felt invisible. Yet your quiet faith continued carrying you forward one step at a time. You believed that every experience, even the difficult ones, could shape a more compassionate heart. God's perfect timing often works through ordinary days, gently preparing people for blessings they cannot yet imagine. Don't skip this part, because the most meaningful realization is still ahead. Almost unnoticed, your billionaire soulmate began changing small habits that once defined their busy life. Instead of rushing through every conversation, they started listening more carefully. Instead of measuring people by achievements, they became curious about their stories. Every genuine encounter reminded them that true richness lives inside the heart long before it appears anywhere else. One evening, while leaving another successful event, they quietly noticed an elderly musician playing peaceful melodies on a nearby street corner. They stopped to listen. When the music ended, the musician smiled warmly and said, the greatest treasures are often the people who bring peace into your life. Those simple words stayed with them long after the evening ended. A memory slowly returned to you as well. You remembered someone once telling you, "Never become tired of being kind simply because not everyone notices." At the time, those words felt comforting. Now they carried deeper meaning. Looking back, you realized that every disappointment had also taught resilience. Every unanswered question had strengthened your patience. Every season of waiting had quietly shaped your compassion toward others facing similar struggles. The person you were becoming mattered far more than the circumstances surrounding you. Your billionaire soulmate was also learning this same lesson from an entirely different path. Though your lives remained separate, your hearts were growing in remarkably similar ways, almost like two rivers slowly moving toward the same peaceful sea. Then something unexpected happened that neither of you could fully understand. Somewhere, completely by chance, someone quietly mentioned your name during a conversation. It lasted only a few seconds before the discussion moved on, yet those words somehow remained unforgettable. Your billionaire soulmate paused for just a moment, sensing an unusual curiosity they could not explain. They did not recognize your name. They knew nothing about your story. Even so, something about that brief moment lingered in their thoughts. It was not certainty. It was simply a quiet feeling that some encounters arrive exactly when people are ready to appreciate them. There's one final piece you haven't seen yet, and it is slowly drawing closer. As night gently covered the world, both of you looked toward the same stars without knowing it. Different places. Different lives. Different experiences. Yet the same peaceful sky stretched above you both. Perhaps that is one of the quiet reminders this fictional story offers, that hope does not rush, love does not force itself into existence, and meaningful connections are built upon character long before introductions ever happen. Your billionaire soulmate was not searching for someone to complete their wealth. They were beginning to hope for someone who would enrich their life with kindness, wisdom, grace, and quiet faith. And you, without realizing it, had already been becoming exactly that kind of person all along. The next moment changes everything, and the most heartfelt part of this journey is still waiting to unfold. Before you continue, allow yourself to remain in this quiet moment just a little longer. The story is unfolding exactly as it should, not through dramatic surprises, but through gentle discoveries that slowly transform two hearts. This is a fictional journey inspired by hope, reminding you that meaningful connections often begin long before two people ever meet. Sometimes the most important chapters are written during seasons that appear completely ordinary. Those quiet days teach patience, compassion, and wisdom. They prepare your heart to recognize something genuine when it finally appears. Type Amen to get God blessing 777. Stay until the end, because another beautiful realization is about to unfold, and it quietly changes the way you see everything that came before. Far away from where you are, your billionaire soulmate woke earlier than usual. Instead of immediately checking schedules and messages, they sat beside a large window overlooking the awakening city. The streets below slowly filled with people beginning another ordinary day. Some hurried toward work. Others paused to help strangers. A parent held a child's hand while crossing the street. An elderly couple shared a peaceful smile on a nearby bench. Those simple moments captured their attention more than any financial report ever had. Quietly they whispered, "Maybe the richest life isn't measured by what you own, but by the love you quietly give." That thought remained with them throughout the entire day. Without realizing it, your own morning reflected that same truth. You offered encouragement to someone carrying invisible worries. You chose understanding instead of judgment when another person made an honest mistake. No one celebrated those decisions. They seemed too small for anyone else to notice. Yet each act of kindness quietly revealed the person you had become. Character is rarely built during extraordinary moments. It grows through countless ordinary choices repeated with patience and grace. Your billionaire soulmate had spent years meeting remarkable people, yet the qualities they admired most were the very qualities you lived every single day without expecting recognition. As the afternoon continued, another unexpected conversation quietly unfolded. During a charity event, your billionaire soulmate listened as guests praised generous donations and impressive accomplishments. Then an elderly volunteer softly smiled and said, "Money can build buildings, but kindness builds hearts." The room fell silent for just a moment. Those words carried unusual weight. They were simple, yet unforgettable. Your billionaire soulmate found themselves thinking less about achievements and more about the kind of person they hoped to welcome into their future. Someone who valued compassion over attention. Someone who remained humble despite life's challenges. Unknown to them, every hope they described painted a picture that looked remarkably like you. Type Amen to get blessings 111. Meanwhile, you spent another peaceful evening reflecting on the journey that had shaped your heart. Some memories still carried sadness, yet they no longer controlled your spirit. Instead, they reminded you how much you had grown. Every disappointment had quietly taught resilience. Every delay had strengthened your patience. Every unanswered question had encouraged deeper faith that life could still surprise you in beautiful ways. God's perfect timing is often understood only after looking back, when scattered moments suddenly reveal a pattern filled with purpose. This fictional story gently reminds you that hope continues growing even when progress cannot yet be seen. Don't skip this part, because the most meaningful discovery is drawing closer. Another realization slowly appeared inside your billionaire soulmate's heart. They noticed that the people who truly inspired them were never trying to impress anyone. Their kindness felt effortless. Their generosity expected nothing in return. Their words offered comfort instead of competition. One quiet evening they smiled to themselves and whispered, "The person I'm waiting for probably doesn't even know how extraordinary they are." Those words settled peacefully in their heart. They no longer searched for perfection. They searched for authenticity. They no longer admired loud confidence alone. They admired gentle courage, quiet wisdom, and the strength to remain compassionate in a complicated world. At that very moment, you found yourself remembering a lesson you nearly forgot. Years ago, someone had gently told you, "Never believe that your goodness is wasted simply because it goes unnoticed." Looking back now, those words felt brighter than ever before. Every quiet sacrifice had shaped your character. Every time you forgave instead of holding bitterness, your heart became lighter. Every time you chose hope over discouragement, another piece of healing quietly appeared. Those invisible victories mattered far more than temporary applause. Without realizing it, your journey had already become the kind of story capable of inspiring someone else's heart. Then something unexpected happened. Your billionaire soulmate came across an old photograph while organizing personal belongings. It showed people laughing together during a much simpler season of life, long before success transformed everything around them. Looking carefully at the picture, they quietly smiled. "I miss how genuine life felt," they admitted. That single memory became another turning point. They understood that happiness had never depended on luxury. It had always depended on meaningful relationships, shared laughter, quiet trust, and hearts willing to care for one another. The future they imagined no longer centered around wealth alone. It centered around finding someone whose presence felt peaceful, honest, and wonderfully real. As night gently settled once again, neither you nor your billionaire soulmate realized how closely your emotional journeys had begun to mirror one another. Though separated by distance, different experiences, and completely different circumstances, both of you were learning the very same lesson: true treasure is found in character, not possessions, in kindness, not recognition, in peace, not perfection. Sometimes life's most beautiful chapters begin with hearts quietly growing in the same direction before they ever share the same path. There's one final piece you haven't seen yet. The next moment gently brings every quiet realization together, revealing why this fictional journey has always been about something much greater than wealth alone. Your journey doesn't end here. Subscribe now so you never miss the next inspiring soulmate story. Thank you for watching, and God bless you.